Hello students, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing well. Now in this video we are going to study the topic the making of nationalism in Europe. Now this topic is a vast topic, and in your book this is divided into various subtopics. Like in your books you can find the aristocracy and the new middle class, what the liberal nationalism stood for, the new conservatism after 1815, etc. But before reading all those subtopics, in this paragraph basically they have given a picture of how or what Europe was before the making of nationalism, what existed in Europe before nationalism actually came. So let us begin with this paragraph. So this is just kind of an introductory paragraph to this big topic. If you look at the map of mid 18th century Europe, you will find that there are no nation states as we know them today. Now we have already discussed about this topic before, nation states. So again I am just a few words about it. Initially there were no countries or no territories which were identified as nations. Territories, there were territories which existed as kingdoms or regions which were ruled by monarchs. There was no systematic, or there was no democracy. Okay, so there was no concept of nation states. What we know today as Germany, Italy and Switzerland were divided into kingdoms, duchies and cantons. Now the places which we know as Germany, Italy and Switzerland, during the mid 18th century in Europe, they did not exist. These regions were actually divided into kingdoms, duchies and cantons. Now kingdoms, as we know, are regions which are ruled by king. Duchies are regions which are ruled, or the whoever is having the control is either a duke or a duchess. And then cantons, you can understand, is a territory which is similar to a region, administrative unit hai. Okay, and all these rulers of these regions, they were some like monarchs, and they had autonomous territories. Autonomous territories means they had the freedom to expand the territory by means of war or negotiations. So these geographical boundaries were not fixed. Then the Eastern and the Central Europe were under autocratic monarchies within the territories of which lived diverse peoples. The eastern part of the continent Europe and the central part of the continent Europe, they were also ruled by autocratic monarchs. And those regions where these autocratic monarchs ruled, the place was populated by people who belong to different races or ethnicity, or they spoke different languages, they belong to different culture and tradition. They did not see themselves as sharing a collective identity or a common culture. So these people who were living under these subjects, who were living under these monarchs or kings, amongst them they never had any kind of bond. They did not have a sense of belongingness. They couldn't relate to each other, neither they could relate to the place they were living, to the monarch or the land where they were living. Most of the times they spoke different languages, and yes, it's obvious they belong to different ethnic groups, so they had different tradition, culture, their dialects were different. Now the Habsburg Empire that ruled over Austria-Hungary, for example, was a patchwork of many different regions and peoples. So they have taken one example, since there were different kingdoms and duchies and monarchs. They have taken one example of one empire, that is the Habsburg Empire. Now this Habsburg Empire was basically a patchwork of many different regions and people. So from the name itself you can understand that इसमें दो main regions included थे, that is Austria and Hungary. Now this is an important question for your exams also, that write a short note on Habsburg Empire, or what are the regions that were included under the Habsburg Empire. So this is an important thing. Now this Habsburg Empire, it included the Alpine regions, which were Tyrol, Austria and Sudetenland, and it also included Bohemia, where the aristocracy was predominantly German speaking. Now if you people have studied about the continent of Europe, the different countries that exist or existed in the past in Europe, you might have come across these names. There have been changes, some countries got dissolved, some territories got dissolved, new names have come up. So जैसे कि यहाँ पे बोहेमिया एक नाम दिया हुआ है, तो आज के डेट में बोहेमिया is the region, is somewhat it covers the region of the Czech Republic, and in this region the aristocracy, the upper class people, they were the ones who spoke German. Rest of the people जो common subjects थे, they spoke other language. It's not necessary that they only spoke, they also spoke German. So again this was something diverse. The aristocracy was speaking some other language, the ruling class was speaking some other language, while the subjects or the common class, they were speaking some other language. Now the next region that this Habsburg Empire included was the Italian speaking provinces of Lombardy and Venetia. So till this much is about, more or less, about the Austrian part. Now we will talk about the Hungarian part. So in Hungary, half of the population spoke Magyar. Now Magyar is the language of Hungary, okay, prominent language of Hungary, while the other half spoke a variety of dialects. Dialects are different versions of a language. So it could have been a variation of Magyar or any other language. Then this Hungarian part also included the Galicia. The aristocracy spoke Polish. So in this region of Galicia, the aristocracy, the ruling class people, they spoke Polish. Now from the name itself you can understand, Polish is the language of Poland. जो आज के डेट में Poland region है, the language of Poland is referred to as Polish. So besides these three dominant groups, there also lived within the boundaries of the empire a mass of subject peasant peoples, the Bohemians, the Slovaks to the north, the Slovenes in Carnolia, the Croats to the south, and the Romans to the east in Transylvania. So apart from these prominent groups, the Magyar speaking group, the Polish speaking group, the Italian speaking group, apart from these prominent people, there were many other dominant groups, a vast population who were the peasants, and these peasants, they lived in the regions of the Bohemia, then Slovakia. The Slovaks are the people who live in Slovakia. Then Slovenes are the people who are living in Slovenia. Then the Croats living in Croatia. Then Romans living in the Roman region. So you can see there was a whole lot of people belonging to different regions, speaking different languages. They were living under one empire, which was the Habsburg Empire. Such differences did not easily promote a sense of political unity, and one thing that came up because of this diversity of languages, tradition and culture was that there was no unity amongst people. This unity, also you can hear it is referred to as political unity, because ultimately we are talking in terms of power, in terms of politics, in terms of empires and emperors. So these emperors, they could never bind the people together, nor the people felt a feeling of, or they never had a sense of belongingness amongst themselves. The only tie binding these diverse groups together was a common alliance to the emperor. So the only common thing amongst these people was the emperor who was ruling them. Now, the meaning of this term allegiance is loyalty. Now, the ones who do not know, you people can note it down. So, with this we come to the end of this topic or this paragraph, and further we will see that how nationalism and the idea of the nation state emerged. In this video, that's all for the time being. Thank you, students. Please do like and subscribe the channel, because this only will be further motivating me to make more videos, not only for SST but also for English. So once again, thank you, students.